Good evening and welcome to our Year 12 Parents Information 2020. I'm Miss Clark and I'm the Year 12 Performance Director, and you'll also be hearing from Mrs Moutsey, who's our Director of Sixth Form. We hope you find this following information useful. So first of all, I'd like to highlight the key differences between Key Stage 4 and the students just finishing their GCSEs and Key Stage 5, which is the start of their A-levels. The main difference that you might find with your young people is that you do need to show much more responsibility for their own learning. They obviously do have lessons with their subject teachers, but they are also expected to do independent study outside of these hours. The teacher and student relationships are much different in sixth form as well, because we expect this ownership over their own learning. There are many more opportunities available for the sixth form, and we encourage them to get more experience to help them as they leave sixth form and go into the world of work. There's also more choice available for our sixth formers, which we know they definitely do enjoy. On to some of the basics. Here I've got an example of one of our Year 12's timetables. You will notice that the students will have 5 hours per subject. So to make up their timetable, they also have some study sessions in school with us. This is where their independent learning will take place. So on to Key Stage 5 courses. All A-level courses will not have an AS examination except for further mathematics, where they will be examined at the end of Year 12. All external exam assessment will take place at the end of Year 13, so it is a 2-year course. However, our vocational courses, so our BTEC and our CTEC courses, do have continuous assignments throughout Year 12 and Year 13, and they are through internal assessments which are done by us, the teachers. They might all have some external assessments which may take place between the years, might happen in January or in the summer. Students do have an option at the end of September if they would like to change or drop their courses. Now, we do want the students to consider whether this is the right option for them. The majority of students have had at-length conversations about the subjects that they would like to study, so if they are considering dropping a subject, we do want to make sure that they've strongly considered this. Have they given the course a real chance and opportunity to get into it and understand what the subject involves? Are their reasons for changing a course good enough? Does it match what they perhaps would like to do in their further education? They do need to speak to you at home, us as staff, and their subject tutors about this as well. And the most important thing is they do think about their next steps. Do they need that subject to be able to take place with further education once they leave us in sixth form? If they do wish to drop a subject or change a course, they do need to have that authorised by a member of sixth form staff, so they will need to speak to myself or Mrs Moutsey. A pink form will be used to inform parents and us and to complete the administration side, and they are not able to do this past Friday the 25th of September. Students will be issued their target grades at the end of this half term, alongside an explanation of how these have been decided. They are decided to be aspirational, and they are the top 75 percentile, to hopefully make them aspirational for our students. Staff will use these target grades as a way of monitoring progress over the next 2 years.
So there are a number of sixth form systems which are quite different to years 7 to 11. All students do have to be in at 8:30, and they're there for a registration period at the start of every day, and they're here until 3 p.m. Now, the exception this year is that if they don't have a session 5 lesson, they should be leaving the site at 1:15 unless arranged otherwise with us. And there is a 1-hour games lesson for those who don't study an E-block session. That takes place every other week, and the students will be aware of when that takes place for each of them. They can leave site for lunch. It is quite a short lunch time. They must sign back in and out. And if a student is absent for a day or part of a day, we do need a phone call from a parent or carer to the normal school absence line, please. If we don't receive that, we will be chasing them up very early on, so we'd be really grateful if you could ring in so that we know where our students are. And Monday 3 p.m, we do hold detentions. We hope none of them will get them, but they do need to be aware that that is a session we run after school, so they shouldn't be arranging anything immediately at that time. Now, we've mentioned independent study. They should have 5 hours of independent study set per subject per week. Of course, it will vary week on week and by subject, but that's a general guidance. They will do their homework, and we would expect that to be absolutely done on time and to a high quality. But it really needs to go beyond that now at A-level and level 3 courses. They need to consolidate their learning from now, not at the end of year 13 or even at the part way through year 13. Successful A-level study relies on students consistently revisiting material, because there is so much to learn and to get through, and they won't sort of learn it in one hit in the classroom. And they were talking already to year 12 about that. And we would really recommend a plan so they can get a timetable of their study sessions. Obviously, some will be getting home earlier in the day, and they should use that time wisely. And, of course, factor in a lot of time for other activities and socialising as much as they can at the moment for their well-being. Now, we do have specific arrangements. You've already received a lot of information about this from Mr. Gray and us in the sixth form. We are trying to control things as much as possible here and have many arrangements in place. For example, we only have students sitting facing forwards, including in our study areas in the sixth form. And as we've already said, students are leaving site when they don't have a lesson in the afternoon. And we do request, please, that face masks are used on minibuses between the consortium schools. The consortium arrangements are in place as always. The buses are running seemingly quite well. And just to reassure you, we do keep a very close eye on those students. So I meet with my counterparts at Beaumont and Verulam every other week or weekly, and we do discuss any concerns or issues with students that are consorting. We probably won't have a problem with dress code here because we're the strictest ones. So the students can adhere to the Beaumont dress code when they're there, but by the time they get back here, they should be in their normal dress code for Sandringham. The sixth form bursary has been mentioned again in communications with you in advance. Just wanted to remind you the deadline is Friday the 17th of September. I'd really like you to encourage to apply for that for your son or daughter if you need a bit of financial help. We do ask students to buy a laptop or device for many subjects, which can be expensive, because we think they're really important as we progress through those courses. And textbooks obviously also very expensive, as well as travel sometimes. We do need evidence from you, such as a tax credit notice or proof of lower income. There's no set rule, but if you think you're in need, just send in the form and some evidence, and I'm sure we can help you. But we do need that submitted by next week, because we have a set pot to divide up with those students. And we also want to get those laptops to them as early as possible now. So mentioning the devices, in the sixth form we do ask for a laptop. We found that iPads or smaller devices are not great for typing up assignments or coursework as we go on into the end of year 12 and into 13. And so we have a list of subjects. I'll just show them on the screen in a moment, and you can pause it to have a look. And we do find that that has made a real difference. And of course, it paid real dividends when we had to shut school in March. So if we do have any situation where a group of students have to isolate, we find that we can convert very easily to online learning, and that includes live teaching with laptops. So the subjects that have said a laptop would be essential are projected, but as I said, because of the situation, we would probably say actually every student really needs a laptop or Chromebook. It does not need to be expensive. Chromebooks seem to work very well as usually quite an affordable option.
We in sixth form are really conscious of making sure that the students, you at home and us are aware of the progress that the students are making in each of their subjects. In order for all of us to be aware of how they are getting on and how they are performing, we do produce as a school reports throughout the school year. In April, they will receive a full report with a tutor comment and the performance director comment from me, which will also reflect on how well they are doing in their personal development hour 2. You will also receive progress grades for these students in November, January and July, and the July progress drop will also include the results of the threshold exams that the students will take at the end of Year 12 in June. If students are struggling in particular areas, we will provide intervention and support to ensure that they are making the best of their academic subjects. We have 2 fantastic learning mentors who can mentor them academically as well as their subject staff, and we will make sure that we have the home contact with you so that we're all on the same page. In terms of transitioning to Year 13, as I just mentioned, we do have a Year 12 threshold exam, and that is the exam they do at the end of this year. In order for students to progress to Year 13, we do need to see a pass from that subject. In BTEC or CTEC or Level 3 courses, there will be external assessments which they will also need to pass in order to progress into Year 13. Assessment data is closely looked at between the sixth form staff to make sure that the students are on the right pathway for their next steps. If you are a new to Sandringham parent, you will and should have received an email from the school with regards to something called My Child at School. This is an online portal for parents and carers to access at home to access the students' reports and attendance figures. If you are an existing parent of Sandringham and you're having any difficulty logging on, please do email the email address which is on the screen now.
We really rely on parents and carers to support our young people through their progress here at school. So what can you do to help them? We would really ask you to look at their timetables and just everything in their life really to provide a balance or encourage them with a balance. Obviously things are a little bit tricky now with the restriction of some extracurricular activities, but they are coming back on board in terms of sport and other hobbies. And please liaise with us if there's any concerns. We'd like to know early, and we don't have to go into detail about it or make it even known to the young person all the time. It's just to really try and help them through perhaps a difficult patch at home or in their personal life. If you could help them looking at futures eventually, that would be great. It's a bit early now, but we will launch that shortly after Christmas, and we do have some excellent tools here. One includes Unifrog, where they can search for courses and apprenticeships, and also to set up things like work experience and other opportunities to explore their future. And they might need a little bit of help there, as do we at school, from you as parents and carers. So how do we support students? We have a list of people on this slide, and all are really important. And obviously you as parents and carers are key, as is the student themselves. And they're at an age now where they do need to seek out that support, and we have a really good two-way dialogue with the students at this age. But we also have a lot of structure in place. We have a personal tutor for your young person, and the emails and names will be at the end of this presentation so that you can contact them directly, and they'll get to know them really well over the next few months. You obviously have got myself and Miss Clark also as key people in the sixth form, and the learning mentors, Miss Cairns and Miss Boost, and they'll be the ones ringing if there's a problem with attendance or any query about the student during the school day. Do please contact the tutor in the first instance or ourselves if you've got any concerns. We have our tutors set up to support those students. We have a personal development hour. We have registration every day so that we can get to know them really well. And we're often asked, well, how do we achieve success in the sixth form? It's not just attending every lesson. We need those students to be independent, to be proactive in their learning, and to ask for help as soon as they need it in a subject. So the teachers are all really willing to help. We'll go the extra mile to help those students, but only if we know what they need help with. Attendance is really important. We'll talk about that in a moment. And this use of study sessions and time we've already mentioned, that self-regulation and planning of that time, and that reviewing of content and practice, not just highlighting notes.
In order to achieve success in the sixth form, we think it's important that we have an ethos between us and the students, and students should be aware of these 3 rings which are on your screen. First of all, we believe that we are hopefully creating successful learners, those that are independent and motivated to get the grades they want for their further education. We also want to make successful professionals that can go out into the workplace and make themselves proud, as well as a successful citizen who will make a difference when they leave us in the community. As Mrs. Mounsey said, attendance is key to sixth form success. We do need you to be in school and learning those lessons. On the screen now is an attendance roadmap which highlights who will intervene at a certain percentages of the students' attendance. It's really worth noting that we might think that 90% sounds quite good in day-to-day life. However, when it comes to attendance, this does play a massive role in what they miss in the school day. If you see here with 90% attendance, that is equivalent to missing 1 day a fortnight, which is a huge impact on their subject learning. The young people that we deal with will also be using Aspire as part of their vocabulary. Now, Aspire is an audit tool that we use in sixth form to help identify the key characteristics that we believe the sixth form students need to achieve success in their learning. The students will talk to you about this, and especially when we have things like Learning Review Day, this might be referenced. Here are the list of the characteristics that we believe will help create a successful learner. This is an audit tool which also will tell us if the students are maybe struggling in one of these areas and what we can do to support them moving forward.
Enrichment is a really important aspect of sixth form life, and we encourage every single student to get involved. Things are a little bit more tricky at the moment, but we've still got loads of opportunities on offer. For example, Young Enterprise is starting up this week, and all the students who are free in E-Block can opt in for that. It's running an actual live company and making money for real, and that's well recognised by universities and employers as an actual programme. Senior Prefects will be launching shortly, and we're asking students to apply, and they will gain significant responsibility throughout the year and could lead into further areas of responsibility or leadership. We really like to cultivate leadership in our sixth form students, and they really are fantastic role models to the rest of the school and the community. So later in the year, just after Christmas, we will again invite students to apply if they wish to be a house captain, which is a significant role here at Sandringham, and then our key areas of leadership, the deputy head and head boys and girls. This week, I think we're launching the senior sports teams training, and we hope to bring online soon theatre and drama, etc. But again, we'll get all that information to students as and when it comes through. Work experience is really important, and we had planned to launch a week of work experience in school time in February. You can see the dates on the slide. We will play this by ear, but at the moment we're planning to go ahead and we'll see how the situation unfolds. We will do some planning with students in our personal development time. So it'd be great if you could help to identify places that students could go that could be relevant to their future choices, and to really get that week of insight into the world of work. If it becomes clear at the time, nearer the time, that we can't go out on that week, we can just transfer it obviously more to the summer holiday or another week during the year. But that's the only week of school time that we can give to it. So this will be critical for anyone thinking about healthcare, teaching or vocational courses. But for all students, we would ask them to consider it. We will also be publishing a very frequent careers bulletin and newsletter with Miss Boost, who looks after our apprenticeship applications in particular, and the first one will be coming out shortly, and that also lists opportunities and will be shared with parents as well as students. We are often asked about part-time work, and our students like to get a job if they can, which is absolutely fine. We would recommend no more than 8 hours per week, or it starts, we find, to interfere with schoolwork. We're also sometimes asked about driving lessons. They can't happen in the school day in study sessions, and that includes session 5 when a student's going home. And the reason for that is that we can call a student back into session 5 at any time if we want to monitor some work or support them. So please keep that time free just for schoolwork. It should be study time. Now, it's a bit early to think about university and careers, but we will talk about it particularly straight after Christmas, and we like to have a very long run into this and to get lots of thinking time going. But just to alert you, I've mentioned Miss Boost as a key person there. Obviously myself, Miss Clark, will also be very heavily involved in the UCAS programme. We will look to work with students who are interested in applying to Oxbridge from around November this year by running the first few sessions, and that's open to anyone who's interested. Same with medicine. We'll try and action all of that in the second half term. And just to finish with, we've got a list here of the sixth form staff, and it does include then the list of tutor groups and tutors with their email address. They're all at Sandringham address. So you can find your son or daughter's tutor and you can contact them directly. Finally, this is the list of sixth form staff. You can see underneath each one the sort of things we're responsible for, so you know who to contact. In most cases, it is best to contact Louise Grubb in the first instance. A lot of you will have been liaising with her over the last 8 months or so, and you know she's really excellent at that communication, at getting you the right information, and she can pass things on to us. But that's just to give you an awareness of who you might wish to contact directly. And please don't hesitate to contact us if you need something. Following this information presentation, the website does have loads of information on it. But if you have a specific query or question related to your son or daughter, please do email in and we'll do our best to answer as quickly as possible. And in the first instance, again, it might be best to go via Mrs. Grubb. So that's it really for the information presentation. As I said, please do email us with any queries or issues that have arisen in the first few days. The students have been absolutely fantastic. We've had a really smooth start, which, considering everything that's happened over the last few months, has been truly impressive. So we really look forward to working with them and with you, and we wish them all the best for this coming year.